Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Cheverton, and I'm going to talk with you about how you put your story up on Amazon so you can self-publish it. Now, keep in mind that to publish something on Amazon, the last time I checked, and I haven't checked, so you should look into it. The last time I checked, you had to have 24 pages to your story. If you didn't have 24 pages, it would lock you out and wouldn't let you do it. So that's important. But let's look at, let me share my screen. Okay, so here is a story on the Great Depression. This was something my son wrote. And I want to show you some things we need to do. First of all, notice how the edges are nice and lined up. When you have a complete sentence, it goes all the way to the edge of the margin and then wraps around. This always looks nicer. And whenever I self-publish something, I always do this. And the way I do that is I select everything. You can do Control A in Google Docs to select everything, or you can go to Edit, select all to select everything, or you can go to the very top and click and drag, which I don't enjoy doing it that way, but you can do it that way. And then right here is the alignment thing. And normally you have it like this, where it's left justified and the right margin does whatever it wants. And you want to pick left and right justified. Boop, you do that one. And so now you can see it looks so much nicer. But sometimes it does something goofy. If the last word in a sentence is really long, look how it has to do the spacing to get the end lined up. And that's just the way it goes. And that's not a problem. You know, sometimes you end up with a funny looking line. So here, if I delete this, watch what happens to that line. Boop, it resets itself. It can't go far enough to the end to get there. So it just stops where the sentence ends. So this is what you have to do. You don't have to do this. It looks a million times nicer to do that. Okay. And then when you do your story, and I'll show you what mine looks like in a minute, but you're probably going to have a title in big letters and you want to use a fancy font or something, right? I'm going to go, here's my title, boop, and I am going to center it like that. And then I'm going to say it's by me. Oh, probably not in all caps. You don't need to say by, you just need to put your name. And that will be centered as well. You don't want to use spaces to center things. What happened? Oops. There we go. You don't want to use spaces to center things because what we're going to do next, so we're going to do that, first name and title, and then we're going to start a new page. And I start a new page, don't use spaces. I do Control Return, and that automatically goes to, or Control Enter on a PC. That automatically goes to the next page. Because I got all this extra space here and there's no spacings there. Well, there's a couple. If you look, I highlight. I got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 lines in there. No big deal. But this paper is 8.5 by 11 inches in size. And that's probably not the size you want for your book because that's a really big book. That's like a textbook for college or something. So what we want to do is go to File and Page Setup in Google Docs. In Word, it's similar, but it's a little different. And I want to choose my paper size. I want it to be a typical paperback novel is 5.5 by 8.5. So I'm going to use that. I have 1-inch margins all the way around. If your story is really long, I mean, you look where 1-inch margins are. If you look, let's get to where it is writing. Yeah, that's not so terrible, but if I had no trouble, oh, I want to show you. Oh, one more. So notice I got page numbers, page 6. You can do page numbers, insert page numbers, and I like them on the bottom. You can do them on the top if you want. You can do this one, which I'm going to probably choose that. Because what that does is it doesn't put a page number on your title page, but it starts on the page after. And usually in a book, I'm going to do another Control-Enter. Typically, you got your title page. When you think of a book, you open the cover, the title page is on the right side. And then you turn to page 2, whoops, and page 2 is on the left side. And then page 3 is on the right. You always want to start your story on the third page. Now notice it numbered funny because I didn't want a page number on the title page because I think it looks bad. You don't need a page number on there. But we got a blank page here. You could put something here if you want. Thank you for all your help in writing my book, Mom and Dad. I couldn't have done this without you. So maybe you put your acknowledgement there. Or if you only have 23 pages, you leave this blank and you put your acknowledgement here. However, your story should always start on the, let's see, this is really page 1, 2, it should start on page 3, or if you have an acknowledgement here and then nothing else, page 4 you'd leave blank, and page 5. So let me change this back to insert page numbers. Let's go back to here. So page 1 here is on the right side when you open the book cover. Page 2 is the back of that first page. I'll have it blank. Page 3, you might have your acknowledgements. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Page 4, I would leave blank. The 5th page is where I would start the story. I always want to start the story on the page on the right side of the book. So you got to look at a book and think about it. You grab any novel you have at home and you look at them, the story will have started on the right side of the book, not on the back side of a page. It'll always start on the front side of a page. So think about that. Now notice we got 7 pages here because I added this. I gave myself a blank page. Maybe this is my acknowledgement. And then I might add another blank page. And then here's where my story starts. I'm not going to do that to my son's outline here, even though he's written this essay already. So that's how I lay it out. Title page, page 1, page 2 blank. Page 3, something, maybe the story starts here because you put your acknowledgements on page 2. Maybe you put your acknowledgements on page 3 and you skipped page 4, and now you start your story on page 5. Okay? So we're down to 8 pages now. Wow, look at that. Okay, now I'm going to go to File, Page Setup, and I'm going to choose my 5.5 by 8.5 inches. And let's see what happens now. Boop. Now we're at 13 pages. Wow. So this significantly increases the length. And if you do that and now you have, 85 pages and you don't like how skinny this looks on the page, maybe you go to File and you go to Page Setup and you go to Margins. Go away, mail message. Let me turn off my email. Maybe you go here and you make this the left and right 0.75 and 0.75. Oops, that is not a 0.75. Right? Maybe you do something like that. And now let's look at the yellow part here where the text is. And that looks a little better. The margin's not so gigantic. So it looks a little nicer. So you need to think about how you want it to look. It's all about appearance. But it should look good because you're making a book. Now, to save this so you can load it to Amazon, you need to go to File, and you're going to download it as a PDF document. When you make the PDF is going to look exactly like it looks like in Google Docs. So make sure it looks the way you want it. If you make a change in the document, you have to download and make a new PDF. You can't use the old PDF if you make changes. And that's why you want to make sure, I highly recommend you get all of your errors out of the way and typos And the best way to catch errors is for you to read your paper out loud. Read your story out loud with it in your hand so you can write on the piece of paper and catch the errors. Reading it out loud will find them all. Because when it goes to print, you know, it's kind of permanent. You can still make changes, but you want to have it be right. So I go to File, Download, PDF. And there it goes. Okay, so here's my PDF document. Everything is fixed on it now. And I can use that and load that to Amazon. But what's really important is this last number, 12. We need to know the number of pages because it's going to ask you when you load it into Amazon. Okay, now let me show you my document. Where are you? You are here. There we go. Okay, so here's the story I'm going to load to show you how. So it's Theft of the Giant Soul. I don't put by Mark Cheverton because when I write Mark Cheverton, everyone knows I'm the author. So you don't have to write by, okay? Here's my page 2. I have stuff about publication, who made the cover. I copyrighted it in case somebody wants to steal it and sell it. The only thing a copyright does for you is it helps you in court if you're going to sue somebody who you think is going to steal your book and try to sell it. If you're not going to go to court because you're just putting this on Amazon for fun, you know, and you're not going to make your living at it, then don't copyright it. Copywriting costs money and it's kind of a hassle. So I would not recommend it. But notice I got a little bit of free advertising. Here's my website, right? And I gave this guy some credit because he made the awesome cover. Okay, so here's the first page that faces, right? Page 1 was on the right side. Page 2 is on the left, so it's on the back of the first page. It's not very important. I don't really care about this stuff. Page 3 is on the right side. I want people to see all my books. Page 4 is my acknowledgments. Page 5 is I wanted to tell people something about when I was writing this. I really don't know if anybody reads these things. I know when I read a book, I never read these things. I don't care. Page 6 is some information about my giants. Page 7, that's an odd page. That's a right-facing page. This is the page where the story starts. Okay? I have this set up. So in Word, I go File, Page Setup. And I'm set up as 5.5 by 8.5. Okay, so that's the size I used. And I am, let's see if we can see the pages, 192 pages long. So if I go to the end, come on. Oh, it didn't load it all the way. So there's 192. And you can see here, I ended. You don't have to write the end because everyone knows because it's at the end. And then I have some marketing stuff to tell the reader about my next book, The Giant's Giant. And here's an excerpt of it. One chapter. And then here's a little more stuff saying, hey, look at my Minecraft novels. Go buy 1,000 of them. And then I'm done. Okay, page 192 is my last one. If I want to save this as a PDF, I go up in Word. You do this in Word. I showed you in Google Docs. File, Save As. Come on. And I can choose here, PDF. And I want the one best for printing, not the best for electronic distribution. I'm not going to put it online anywhere. Best for printing. If you make edits, you should change your version number. Don't make all the edits into one file. Make multiple files so you always have them. So I can save this. I can export it as a PDF, which I've already done. Okay? So this is how you set up your document. You want to have a title page. I was able to do this. This font is called and I think I had to pay for that font. Oh, it's not in here. Demoness or something like this. I had to pay for this font because I thought it was super cool. But anyways, title page, probably some blank pages to add some length if you don't have 24 pages. Start your story on an odd numbered page, the page that's on the right side of the book. When you're setting this up, have a book next to you, a novel, so you can see, so you can count the pages and see what they look like in the book. Okay? So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to load this into Amazon and how you do the self-publishing process. You're going to need an Amazon account. So you're going to need your parents' help because you got to have an Amazon account, and you got to have a credit card, and you got to have a tax ID number, because if you sell any copies, then you have to pay royalty on it. That's just the way it is. I mean, not pay royalty, you got to pay taxes. And so you have to load that kind of stuff in. So be sure you do that. And I'll be back. Bye.